My journey into aging, a doctor's secrets to staying vibrant. I never imagined I'd be standing here today, sharing this with you. When I first started my career as a doctor, I was driven by a deep curiosity. How does the body age, and what can we do to make that process not just longer but better? I thought I had all the answers, textbooks filled with data, lectures from brilliant professors. But none of that prepared me for what I would discover when I began aging myself. I remember the first time I noticed it. It wasn't a sudden shock, like a lightning bolt. It was gradual, almost sneaky. A few more aches in the morning, a little less energy after a long day. I caught myself staring into the mirror, seeing the fine lines deepen, the gray hairs multiply. I wasn't just reading about aging anymore. I was living it. And let me tell you something. That realization changed everything. I started to ask myself questions I had never considered before. If I, a doctor who knew all the rules about aging, was feeling surprised by it, what were my patients going through? Were they prepared? Did they have someone to walk them through the process, to tell them the honest truth about what to expect, and more importantly, what they could do about it? I knew then that I had to be that person. In my clinic, I began to spend more time with my senior patients, listening, not just as a doctor, but as a fellow traveler on this journey. I asked them about their fears, their frustrations, their hopes, and as I listened, I realized how many of them felt left out of the conversation, as if aging was something happening to them, not something they had any control over. I heard stories of people waking up one day, suddenly feeling older than their years, unsure of how to slow the decline. I met men and women who had been vibrant, active, and independent for decades, but now found themselves facing health issues they never imagined would touch them. I saw the frustration in their eyes when they spoke about memory lapses, joint pain, fatigue, and fear of being a burden to their families. It was during those conversations that I realized aging isn't just about the body. It's about the mind, the heart, and the soul. It's about how we see ourselves, how we adapt, and how we keep finding reasons to smile every single day. And I want to be completely honest with you. I struggled with this myself. Despite my medical training, I wasn't immune to the worries that come with getting older. I've wrestled with my own fears about slowing down, about losing the sharpness that once defined me, about becoming irrelevant in a world that seems to value youth above all else. But in those moments, I made a choice. I chose to lean in. Instead of shying away from the changes I was experiencing, I decided to meet them head-on. I started experimenting, not with expensive treatments or secret formulas, but with simple, science-backed habits that made a world of difference. I focused on nutrition, sleep, movement, and most importantly, mindset. I found that my mindset, the way I thought about aging, had more power over my body than I ever realized. When I started viewing aging as a journey of wisdom and resilience, rather than decline, something shifted. My energy returned. My days became brighter. I felt stronger, not just physically but emotionally and mentally. But this isn't just about me. I've spent years gathering stories from my patients who've done the same, who've chosen to embrace aging with courage and curiosity. I've seen 70-year-olds take up new hobbies, 80-year-olds start fitness programs, and 90-year-olds discover passions they never had time for before. These are the people who inspired me, who showed me that aging is not the end of the story. It's the start of a new chapter. And that's why I'm here today, sharing these secrets with you. Because I believe you deserve to know what I've learned, not from textbooks, but from real-life experience, from the quiet courage of people just like you and me. In this series, I'm going to walk you through what doctors like me wish you knew about aging, not the usual eat your vegetables and take your vitamins advice, but real, actionable insights that can change the way you experience your later years. I'll share the stories that moved me, the research that surprised me, and the strategies that truly work. But more than that, I want to invite you to see yourself differently. Aging isn't a problem to solve, it's a story to live, and it's A story that can be vibrant, joyful, and deeply fulfilling if we approach it with the right tools and mindset. So if you're ready, join me as I share the secrets I've learned, the truths we don't talk about enough, and the hope that's waiting for you on the other side of fear. You're not alone in this. I'm right here with you, every step of the way. What I've seen in my patients. The 3 most common aging mistakes. When I think back over my years of seeing patients, some in their 50s, others in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, I realized that many of the biggest issues they faced as they aged weren't just because of the natural process of getting older. No, it was often because of a few key mistakes, mistakes that almost everyone makes, but that we can change if we recognize them. And I'll be honest with you, I've made some of these mistakes myself. That's why I'm sharing them with you today, not to scare you, but to show you that it's never too late to correct course and feel better than you ever thought possible. Let's dive into the 3 biggest mistakes I've seen and how to avoid them. Mistake number 1. Ignoring muscle loss until it's too late. This is one I see over and over again. I've had countless patients tell me, "I used to be so strong. Now I feel weak and tired all the time." And when I dig a little deeper, I find out they've been living a mostly sedentary life for years, sitting more, moving less, and assuming that it's just normal to lose muscle as you age. Here's the truth. Muscle loss isn't just normal aging, it's avoidable aging. As we get older, especially past the age of 50, we naturally start to lose muscle mass, a process called sarcopenia. But it's not inevitable. The biggest problem isn't the natural process, it's the fact that so many of us stop challenging our muscles. We assume exercise is only for the young, but what I've seen in my practice and in my own life is that resistance training, even simple bodyweight exercises, can completely change the game. I've seen 70-year-olds who took up strength training and transformed their energy levels, balance, and confidence. I've seen patients who were struggling to get out of a chair regain their independence after just a few months of regular movement. 4. Me personally, I started adding light strength exercises into my routine in my 50s, and I can't overstate how much stronger and more vibrant I feel today because of it. It's not about lifting heavy weights at the gym. It's about staying strong enough to live the life you want, whether that's gardening, playing with grandkids, or traveling the world. Mistake number 2. Neglecting mental health and social connection. Here's something most people don't realize. Loneliness and depression can be just as damaging to your health as smoking or obesity. I've seen it firsthand. Patients who come in for checkups looking physically fine, but who admit, after a bit of gentle questioning, that they feel isolated, disconnected, or down. And you know what? Those feelings aren't just in your head. They affect your heart, your brain, your immune system, your whole body. I remember one patient, a woman in her late 70s, who told me she had stopped going out because she felt like she wasn't needed anymore. Her kids were grown, her friends had moved away or passed on, and she spent most days alone. She thought it was just part of aging. But when we started talking about it, and she joined a local community group, her whole outlook changed. She was laughing again, her energy returned, and her physical health improved, too. For me, I've made it a personal mission to stay connected, whether it's through friends, family, or even volunteering. It's not always easy, especially with how busy life can be. But I've learned that a cup of coffee with a friend, a phone call with a loved one, or even a short walk with a neighbor can have a profound impact on how we feel and how we age. Mistake number 3, believing it's too late to change. This one breaks my heart the most. I've had patients look me in the eye and say, "Doctor, I wish I'd taken better care of myself when I was younger, but it's too late now." And I always tell them, gently but firmly, it's never too late. I've seen patients in their 80s start walking programs and regain mobility. I've seen seniors in their 90s pick up new hobbies and discover a renewed sense of purpose. I've even seen people who struggled with weight and chronic conditions for decades finally take control and turn things around. You see, the human body is incredibly adaptable. No matter your age, your cells, your muscles, your brain, they're all capable of responding to positive changes. It might take a little longer. It might require more patience. But change is possible at any age. I've made this shift in my own life, too. In my 40s, I believed certain things were just the way it is. My joints ached. My sleep was inconsistent. My energy dipped. But when I decided to make small, consistent changes, adding more whole foods, prioritizing sleep, walking more, I felt a difference within weeks. And that momentum built over months and years. It's a lesson I carry with me every day. Don't underestimate the power of starting small. Now I want you to take a moment and think. Are you moving your body enough to stay strong? Are you nourishing your social connections and your mental health? Are you telling yourself it's too late to change? Or are you willing to start today? These aren't just questions. They're invitations. Invitations to shift the way you think about aging. To realize that the biggest obstacles aren't your body, they're your beliefs. And in the next section, I'm going to dive even deeper into those beliefs. Because so many of the truths we've been told about aging, things like memory loss is inevitable or slowing down is just part of getting old, aren't the whole story. I'll share with you the myths that doctors like me wish we could debunk and what you can do to take back control of your aging journey. The truth behind aging myths. What we doctors wish you knew. Let me take you back to a conversation I had with a patient named Margaret, a sprightly 82-year-old who came into my clinic a few years ago. She was sharp, funny, and full of life. But when we sat down to talk about her health, she sighed and said, "Doctor, I know I'm supposed to slow down now. That's just part of getting old, isn't it?" That moment struck me because it echoed what I've heard from so many of my patients. And to be honest, it echoed what I used to think myself. But after decades in medicine, watching my patients and aging myself, I've come to realize something very important. So many of the truths we believe about aging are myths. In this section, I'm going to share with you the top myths about aging that we doctors wish we could erase from people's minds, and what you need to know to take back control of your aging story. Myth number 1, aging equals decline. Physically and mentally, this is the big one. So many of us believe that as we get older, our bodies and minds will inevitably fall apart. It's a belief that's so deeply ingrained in our culture that we don't even question it. But the truth? Aging does not automatically mean decline. Yes, there are changes that come with age. Our joints may stiffen, our reaction times may slow, but I've seen patients in their 70s and 80s who are stronger, sharper, and more energetic than people half their age. And research backs this up. Studies show that regular physical activity, good nutrition, mental engagement, and social connection can slow and even reverse many of the so-called inevitable changes of aging. Personally, I've experienced this myself. In my 50s, I started noticing that I was slowing down. Instead of accepting it, I decided to change my routine, adding more movement, focusing on strength training, and adopting a Mediterranean-style diet. The results were remarkable. I felt more energetic, more focused, and more capable than I had in years. Myth number 2, memory loss is inevitable. I can't tell you how many times a patient has come to me worried about forgetting where they put their keys, a friend's birthday, or a doctor's appointment. And too often they say, "I guess this is just how it is now. My memory's going." But here's the truth. While some memory changes are common with age, significant memory loss is not inevitable. What we often think of as age-related memory loss can actually be caused by factors we can control, like poor sleep, stress, medication side effects, nutritional deficiencies, or lack of mental stimulation. In fact, studies show that staying mentally active, whether it's through puzzles, reading, learning new skills, or socializing, can help keep the brain sharp well into old age. One of my patients, Bob, started doing daily crosswords and took up a new hobby, playing the guitar at age 75. He told me that not only did his memory improve, but he felt a renewed sense of purpose and joy. I've seen this time and time again. Our brains are like muscles. The more we use them, the stronger they stay. Myth number 3. It's too late to make a difference. This one breaks my heart because it keeps so many people from taking action. I've had patients in their 60s, 70s, even 80s who told me they felt it was too late to change their lifestyle, too late to start exercising, too late to adopt healthier habits. But science, and my own experience, tells us that it's never too late. I remember a patient named Henry who came to me at 78. He had a history of heart issues, was overweight, and felt completely defeated. But after some gentle encouragement and a tailored plan, he started walking for 20 minutes a day, swapped processed snacks for fruits and veggies, and cut back on alcohol. Within a few months, his blood pressure improved, his energy soared, and he was smiling again. The human body is incredibly resilient no matter your age. Even small changes can have a profound impact on your health and well-being. Myth number 4. Rest is better than movement. As you age, I've lost count of how many times I've heard, "I don't want to overdo it, doc. I need to take it easy." At my age. While rest and recovery are important, too much rest can actually make aging harder. When we become too sedentary, our muscles weaken, our bones lose density, and our balance deteriorates. This increases the risk of falls and injuries, which can set off a chain reaction of declining health. On the other hand, regular movement, whether it's walking, stretching, swimming, or dancing, helps keep the body strong, flexible, and balanced. Personally, I make it a point to move every day, even if it's just a short walk around the block or some light stretching in the morning. Movement is medicine, and it's one of the simplest, most powerful ways to age gracefully. Myth number 5. Aging is out of your control. Perhaps the most damaging myth of all is the belief that we're powerless against aging, that it's all genetics and fate. While genetics play a role, they account for only about 20–30% of how we age. The rest, that's up to us. Our daily choices, what we eat, how we move, how we think, how we connect with others, have an enormous impact on how we age. I've seen patients with a family history of chronic illness who've defied the odds by adopting healthy habits and a positive mindset. I want you to hear this loud and clear. You have more control over your aging journey than you've been led to believe. So let's recap the myths we've just debunked. Aging does not automatically mean decline. Memory loss is not inevitable. It's never too late to make a difference. Resting too much can actually harm your health. You have more control over aging than you think. The next time someone tells you that you should be slowing down or that this is just how it is, remember Margaret, Bob, and Henry, and remember me standing here telling you that aging is not a sentence. It's a journey you can shape. In the next section, I'll share the 5 simple yet powerful habits that I personally swear by. Habits that can help you feel stronger, more energetic, and more vibrant no matter your age. My personal prescription, 5 powerful habits. I swear by over the years, both as a doctor and as someone who's navigating aging myself, I've learned that the secret to aging well isn't found in magic pills or expensive treatments. It's in the small, consistent habits that I've seen transform my patients' lives and my own. In this section, I'm not just going to give you generic advice. I'm going to share the 5 powerful habits I personally live by every day. The same ones I recommend to my patients and practice myself. These are the habits that have helped me stay strong, sharp, and vibrant. And they can help you too. Habit number 1, move every day no matter what. I'll be honest with you. I'm not a fan of gyms. I don't enjoy intense workouts, and I certainly don't have the time to spend hours exercising. But I've learned that movement isn't about punishment. It's about nourishment. Every single day, I make it a point to move my body in some way. Sometimes it's a brisk 30-minute walk around my neighborhood. Sometimes it's a few sets of bodyweight exercises while watching the news. Sometimes it's stretching or dancing to my favorite music in the living room. The key is to make movement part of your routine, not an afterthought. Movement keeps your muscles strong, your joints flexible, and your mind clear. It improves circulation, boosts mood, and even helps regulate blood sugar and blood pressure. I always tell my patients, it's not about doing a lot, it's about doing something. Even if you only have 10 minutes, use them. A little bit of movement, done consistently, adds up to big results over time. Habit number 2, prioritize real, whole foods. I used to think that eating healthy was complicated, counting calories, avoiding certain foods, trying trendy diets. But over the years, I've discovered a simpler approach that's worked for me and my patients. Eat real, whole foods as much as possible. This means focusing on plenty of colorful vegetables and fruits, lean proteins like fish, chicken, beans, and lentils, whole grains like oats, quinoa, and brown rice, healthy fats like olive oil, nuts, and avocados. And yes, I still enjoy treats, chocolate, a glass of wine, the occasional dessert, but I do so mindfully and in moderation. The key is balance, not perfection. I've noticed that when I fuel my body with real, whole foods, I feel more energized, my digestion improves, and I sleep better. And for my patients, the changes have been dramatic. Lower blood pressure, improved blood sugar control, weight loss, and even better moods. Habit number 3, prioritize rest and sleep. This is a big one, and it's one I used to struggle with myself. For years, I told myself that I could catch up on sleep later, that staying busy and productive was more important. But I learned the hard way that sleep isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Now, I aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep every night. I've created a simple bedtime routine that signals to my body, it's time to rest. No screens an hour before bed, a few pages of a good book, a calming cup of herbal tea, a consistent sleep schedule, even on weekends. Since making sleep a priority, I've noticed I wake up feeling more refreshed, focused, and resilient. And my patients who've committed to better sleep hygiene often tell me it's the single most transformative change they've made for their health. Habit number 4, stay connected and engaged. I can't emphasize this enough. Social connection is vital to healthy aging. It's not just about having friends, it's about having meaningful connections, a sense of belonging, and regular engagement with others. For me, this means regular dinners with family, weekly phone calls with close friends, volunteering in my community, participating in a local book club. These connections keep me grounded, lift my spirits, and give me a sense of purpose. And I've seen in my patients that those who stay socially active tend to be healthier, happier, and more resilient to the challenges of aging. Even if you're naturally introverted, finding ways to connect, whether through volunteering, joining a club, or simply reaching out to a neighbor, can make a huge difference. Habit number 5, practice a mindful, positive outlook. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, I've learned that your mindset shapes your experience of aging. I've seen patients who approach aging with fear and negativity, and their health often suffers. I've also seen those who embrace it with curiosity, gratitude, and hope, and they thrive. For me, this means starting each day with a moment of gratitude, practicing mindfulness or meditation, keeping a simple journal, to reflect on challenges and victories, reframing setbacks as opportunities to learn. This doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing to focus on what's still possible, what's still joyful, and what's still meaningful. I've found that when I practice this mindset, I feel less stressed, more resilient, and more connected to the people and moments that matter most. Let's take a moment to reflect on these 5 powerful habits. Move every day, no matter what. Prioritize real whole foods, prioritize rest and sleep, stay connected and engaged, practice a mindful, positive outlook. These aren't complicated, they don't require expensive equipment or drastic life changes. But I promise you, if you start small and stay consistent, they can completely transform your experience of aging. In the final section, I'll wrap everything up by sharing why it's never too late to rewrite your aging story, and how you can start today. My final word. Why it's never too late to rewrite your aging story. I sit down to share this final part of our journey together. I'm reminded of a moment from a few years ago. I was sitting with a patient named Eleanor, who was 85 years, old and newly diagnosed with diabetes. She sat across from me, her hands trembling slightly, her voice soft. "Doctor, is it too late for me to turn this around?" I took her hands in mine, looked her in the eye, and said, "Eleanor, it's never too late. It's never, ever too late." That moment has stayed with me, and it's the message I want to leave with you as we wrap up. Whether you're 55 or 85, whether you've been active all your life or are just now thinking about making changes, you can rewrite your aging story starting today. Why we think it's too late, I get it. I really do. Society tells us that aging is a downhill slope, that once we pass a certain number, we should expect decline. We're bombarded with messages, subtle and not so subtle, that say, "You're too old for this," or "You should slow down now." I used to believe those messages myself. There were moments when I thought, well, this ache in my knee is just part of getting older, or I guess my energy isn't what it used to be, and that's just how it is. But here's the truth I've come to embrace. Aging isn't a punishment. It's a privilege. It's a chance to reflect, to grow, to deepen our connections, and to embrace new possibilities. And yes, it's a chance to reclaim our health and vitality, no matter how old we are. The power of one small change. I've seen it over and over again. Patients who made just one small change, a daily walk, adding a handful of vegetables to their meals, practicing gratitude each morning, and saw remarkable improvements in their health and happiness. You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight. You don't need to become a marathon runner or a meditation master. All you need to do is take one small step today. That might look like replacing one sugary drink with water, taking a 10-minute walk after dinner, calling a friend to catch up, going to bed 30 minutes earlier, writing down 3 things you're grateful for. These small actions create momentum, and momentum creates change. I've witnessed patients in their 70s and 80s completely transform their energy levels, mental clarity, and physical health just by starting small and staying consistent. It's not about perfection. One thing I always remind myself and my patients is that it's not about being perfect. We're human. Life is messy. There will be days when we fall off track, when we feel tired, when we indulge in that extra slice of cake or skip a walk. That's okay. What matters is what we do next. Progress isn't linear. It's a journey. When I started focusing on my own aging journey, I faced setbacks too. I missed workouts. I ate things I knew weren't nourishing. I felt frustrated, but I kept going. I reminded myself why I was doing it, so I could feel energized, be there for my family, and enjoy my life fully. And that's what I want for you. Not perfection, consistency, self-compassion, and a commitment to yourself. Mindset is everything, Sao. There's one thing I've learned from my years as a doctor and as someone walking this path myself, it's that your mindset shapes your reality. I've seen patients who, despite physical challenges or chronic conditions, maintain a vibrant spirit because they choose to focus on what's possible rather than what's lost. They embrace each day with curiosity, humor, and gratitude. And you know what? Their health often reflects that mindset. I encourage you to shift from "I can't" to "I'll try." Shift from I'm too old to I'm just getting started. Shift from this is the end to this is a new beginning. Aging isn't something to fear. It's a natural, beautiful part of life, a part that can be filled with growth, joy, and deep satisfaction. Start today. Here's how. I want to leave you with something practical. If you're wondering how to start rewriting your aging story today, here's a simple plan. Choose one habit. From the habits we discussed earlier, pick one: movement, healthy eating, sleep, connection, or mindset. Set a tiny, achievable goal, not a big, overwhelming one. If you chose movement, it could be a 5-minute walk. If you chose eating, it might be adding a serving of vegetables to one meal. Write it down. There's something powerful about putting your intention on paper. It makes it real. Track your progress. Celebrate your wins, no matter how small. Each win builds confidence and momentum. Be kind to yourself. Aging isn't a race, it's a journey. If you stumble, just pick yourself back up and keep going. A message from my heart. Before we part, I want to tell you something straight from my heart. You are not too old, and it's not too late. Whether you're feeling stuck, discouraged, or uncertain about the road ahead, remember that you have the power to change your story, today, tomorrow, and every day after. I've seen it happen. I've seen patients in their 70s start strength training and reverse frailty. I've seen 80-year-olds improve their memory and clarity with simple mental exercises. I've seen people of all ages rediscover joy, purpose, and connection by embracing small changes. And I've experienced it myself. I've felt the difference in my body, mind, and spirit when I made the decision to take control of my own aging journey. So, as we wrap up this conversation, I invite you to take a deep breath and imagine what's possible for you. What small change can you make today that your future self will thank you for? Your journey continues. This is the end of this series, but it's just the beginning of your own story. You've read through 1. Why aging feels scary, but doesn't have to be. The silent saboteurs, hidden health threats you can tackle. 3. The truth behind aging myths, what we doctors wish you knew. 4. My personal prescription, 5 powerful habits. I swear by 5. My final word, why it's never too late to rewrite your aging story. I hope these words have given you insight, inspiration, and a spark of motivation. You are the author of your life's next chapter, and it's one that can be filled with health, joy, and fulfillment. I'll be here cheering you on.